Whoops. And the technical difficulties start. So we won't do the intro as we always do. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and friends and fans and family of the Nation's Corner. John in South Jersey here. Welcome to yet another edition of the Nation's Corner. We're off to a fantastic start. I hate technology. Anywho, of course, we're here. We're live. It's a Saturday night. And we are talking RASSLIN. That spells wrestling. And with me, of course, is my only thing I ever really need in my wrestling life, and that is my tag team partner in the greatest intergender tag team in all of professional wrestling. She is the social media maven of the Nation's Corner. She is the wonderful, the powerful Debhausen. What's up, Deb?
What's up?
Hey.
That was I always have like a funny look on my face whenever that happens because it's
so
unexpected.
We normally have to, we get through the intro, we get through all the, hellos and all that, and go up. Fuck it. Tonight we're going straight off the rails, straight away. Not that we have a script or anything, but, keeps them all guessing. All right. And we'll get a second here and compose this, but another very interesting week in pro wrestling, all of pro wrestling. And we don't do, match by match breakdowns of all the shows. There are plenty of other people out there that do that. But a couple of things from
Denise Salcedo and Simon Miller. I think their weekly breakdowns, especially of Dynamite that I watch, are great. So yeah, we're kind of a more free flowing conversation. So definitely match by match reviews and recaps. Denise and Simon Miller are both awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. But we did have Friday Night SmackDown in my backyard. I don't care what Bully says on WWE Radio and Busted Open. The number one wrestling town in all the world is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Why? Spend one night at the corner of Swanson and Rittner. And that's all I'm going to say. But SmackDown was live at the Xfinity Mobile, which was formerly the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia last night. And two interesting things.
What's up, Drake?
Oh, hey, Drake. Yeah. Making Drake the towns, he is. Yes. Making the towns.
He's doing it.
He is. He's doing the damn thing. Good for him. Good for you, young man. But obviously the most interesting thing out of Philadelphia last night of SmackDown, we have a new number one contender coming out of SummerSlam and returning Kevin Owens. And he had the face-off with CM Punk last night. And it turns out they have a show coming up in Toronto in a couple weeks. And that's where Kevin is going to have his championship opportunity against Punk, which I'm kind of surprised at, but not really. I would figure they would try to stretch this out maybe to a pay-per-view or even the Sunday night's main event coming up or something like that. But hey, whatever. Keep them guessing. We also had a quote-unquote returning Randy Orton face off with Cody Rhodes, so we know what QB1 is going to be tied up with. He is going to have his hands full of the Viper. Yes. Very interesting. Yes. And the only other thing from SmackDown that I personally, I am a huge NXT fan, as most people know. We had a call-up last night and a debut. Tatum Paxley has made it to the main roster on SmackDown, teaming with the new besties of Charlotte Flair and a returning Alexa Bliss with the big old robo thing on her arm for her elbow last night, but made her presence known. And if you happen to be perusing social media like most of us do, there's a video out there that was taken backstage, probably at NXT, it looks like anyway, of Tatum Paxley telling one of her best friends, kayfabe aside, Izzy Dane, that she got called up to SmackDown and was going to be debuting on SmackDown. And Izzy Dane, and if you've ever seen her in ring, Izzy Dane is very stoic, very, very mean girl type and all that. To see the absolute joy and this girl lose her mind hearing her best friends getting called up to the main roster was really cool to watch. It's very short. It's only about a minute or so, but it was one that will put a smile on your face.
Okay.
And excuse me. But again, seeing with all these debuts, people moving around, different things. You had a title defense last night, a SummerSlam rematch, Baron Corbin versus Trick Williams. Baron retaining, and we're starting to see basically a Trick Williams crash out, it seems. So I'm interested to see what they're doing. Plus, it's great to see Baron Corbin back on WWE television.
Yeah.
And this new Nomad character of his, it's still basically him, but it's much more. There's no comedic element to this whatsoever. This is not bum-ass Corbin at all.
Right.
This is more original NXT Lone Wolf Corbin with even more of an edge. And the guy is a legit badass. He's a champion in jiu-jitsu. He's a black belt. He's won tournaments all over the world, and they're really leaning into that. And I think so far it's going to be good. And speaking of debuts, we finally got a look at, and a big look, because he's 7 feet tall, and you can't teach that. Big Cass has returned to WWE. He finally made his debut against a poor Javon Evans, who got kicked right out of his boots Monday night by Big Cass. And those gigantic, they're bigger than, they have to be huge. Those Timberlands you wear, that's gotta hurt. But Big Cass is back. And I mean, the lead up to it and his vignettes were fantastic. They were really done because there's, a lot of WWE fans right now that don't know who he is, that don't know who Enzo and Cass were, and they may know, Big, right. And they may know Big Bill or know the connection to Big Bill from AEW. Yeah. But even towards the end of his AEW run, there wasn't a whole lot to write home about with him. Right. And he had a couple things with Jericho and all that in the Morning Tree. And that was, it kind of ran its course. And then, but as we all know about professional wrestling, it's all about opportunities. Yes. So, one door closes, another one opens.
I'm kind of interested to, just see how it plays out with Big Cass. I'm a big fan of his. I had posted the picture of when Seth and I met Enzo and Kaz at the One Celeb Fest in Baltimore a few years ago.
Yeah, you came all the way up to his waist.
Yes, he is that tall. I'm a big fan, very nice guy. We've had the pleasure of meeting Enzo a few times as well, and he's a very, very nice guy. I think a lot of people, Tony said in the chat, hope we see Enzo soon. I think a lot of people are kind of just waiting for Enzo to show up. And, I do hope that happens. But at the same time, my fear is then if it's just Big Cass and not Enzo, it seems like a lot of people only care if Enzo's attached.
Right. And I think that's the wrong take. I really don't. I don't think that, if they wanted to bring them back together, then, make the deal, bring them back together and do it from the onset.
I don't see why that they would only bring back Kaz and then just wait for Enzo.
Yeah. And if they,
I think people just gotta I don't know if people just gotta let go of, really holding on to that idea. But we'll see what plans they have for Kaz and see how it goes.
Well, as you know, as I always say, that these people have their opinion. They're wrong, but they have their opinion. Yeah. So, but again, let's continue the returning conversation because we had some interesting videos appear on social media this week. And I'll, in no particular order, but you had a semi kind of promo / announcement from one Buddy Matthews.
Yes.
He is cleared. He is finally medically cleared.
Another one just a few hours ago on Instagram.
And it's one of them things. I'm always glad to hear that, especially injured wrestlers that have been out a while, are able to get back into the ring. But my first question is it's like, great, they're back, but damn, where do they fit in?
Right,
and that's true for anybody, no matter the circumstances. But here, and it's great for Buddy, and I can't wait to see what he does, because he's phenomenal in ring, and see who they match him up with or pair him up with is really going to be interesting, especially in the AEW landscape right now, because I believe he is still an AEW contracted talent.
He is, and his promo videos were only showing AEW footage.
Okay, so obviously he's going to be going back to where he's contracted. Yeah. I'd love to see him to work some indie shows. I had when he first left NXT and was before he went to AEW, he did a whole string of a big long run on the indies, and he came through Philadelphia with a couple different promotions. Man, he is absolutely phenomenal to see live. He is so good. But I'm excited for that. But now again, you want a question about people returning and where do they fit in. We also got a video from one Tommy Budden, or Tommy End, aka Aleister Black, aka Malachi Black, and the man of 1,000 names. But and again, he was released by WWE,
right?
And him, like many others that were released, the no compete is going to be up soon. So of course, we're going to start seeing videos and different promos, hopefully, for where people might be going or anything. But in this case, I don't know where he goes.
I don't honestly know either. I was thinking about this the other day. Because I am a fan of his. I have this awesome painting right here from AJ Moore. I'm looking at the House of Black flag on the wall right there. So I am a big fan of his, and I didn't dislike anything that he did in AEW, but it just, I don't know if the timing wasn't right or whatever happened, and things happened and it didn't work out. He went back to WWE. I don't know, things happened and it didn't work out.
Right.
and yeah, now it's like, we've heard a lot of things from, we've heard a lot of rumor and speculation, and even some confirmed things that have been said in interviews that point to the fact that, maybe he had the wrong attitude when he was in AEW. Like, MJF point blank said on Ariel Helwani that he was, he was like, can't remember the exact word that he used, but basically like insinuating that like he was ungrateful. He was, basically saying that he was only there until WWE wanted him back, and just like, and that's like, we've heard Tony Khan speak on that too, that they're really honing in on being selective about who they bring in, people that genuinely want to be at AEW, want to help grow and build AEW, and aren't just there as a consolation prize. And who knows, maybe something is different this time, or maybe he just, wants to work on the indies and see how that goes. A lot of people are doing that. A lot of people
and there's a lot. It's certainly not just you got to work for one company or the other anymore. You can still do well and work, basically work how you want. It's definitely a talent market right now, that just because you may not have any interest from one of the two major companies right now, go on an indie run, go to a smaller promotion, go work at TNA, an MLW, a GCW. And as we've seen,
there's so much talent out there, and not only with the three larger promotions in North America, but larger promotions overseas, and in Japan, in the UK, there's the companies in Mexico, and all across the indies are doing really exciting shows with big name people. Like it's been a very long time since I saw an advertisement for any indie show that didn't have anybody that I know, like big names.
Jesus Christ, Shotzi Blackheart works 1,000 dates a year now.
Right?
The girl is literally everywhere. She just wrestled last night at House of Glory in New York against Shayna Baszler. And that's like her third show this week. She's doing 2 more. She's somewhere tonight, and I think doing a show tomorrow.
It's crazy. Like, they're working every night, and there's so much talent out there. The work is there. So yeah, if Tommy N decides to, just go that route, I think he could be really successful at that.
I think so too. And again, we've seen time and time again, it doesn't mean that, he's just going to be some, relegated to some C-list indie for the rest of his life.
Right.
If you get yourself over, they will come back to you. Hello, Matt Cardona.
Yes.
And I know everybody's getting tired of that. I mean, he is one half of the women's world champion now. I mean, come on, the dude has made it.
Yes. Yeah. But no, I mean, I think in the current state of indie wrestling, he is kind of the blueprint. He's the one that kind of broke that barrier right after COVID to establish that, like, yes, you can make it doing it this way. And, he's preached over and over again kind of his personal guidelines for, how to be successful in the indies.
Oh, yes. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. And while doing that, and of course, making himself very successful and, let's face it, pretty damn rich in the process. Sure. He's really taken away a lot of that stigma. Oh, you got to work indies. Oh, yeah. So what? Everybody came from the indies.
Yep.
Unless you were part. Well, unless you went to NXT and were part of the NIL system that got recruited out of college, you started and came from the indies. So it's, and again, the blueprint works. Matt Cardona is, here, you want a better one, a better narrative? Debhausen.
Yeah.
Legitimately the biggest star in WWE right now. Arguably. Yeah. If you look at, and not to steal a line from Uncle Bully, but the only tangible number you can go by is number of t-shirts sold. And there's a whole lot of people buying a whole lot of Debhausen merchandise. Right. More so than anybody else in WWE right now. So if that doesn't tell you success, I don't know what your metrics are, and you're wrong, and you need to fix that. But
right.
There was one other thing I wanted to discuss with you real quick. Thursday night, GCW had a kind of a tribute show and a special show at House of Independence in Asbury Park, which is a very cool venue I've been to see GCW and some other indie shows at. And if you have the opportunity or in the area to see a show there, it's a very small kind of intimate theater kind of setting. They do music performances and everything else there, but it's become kind of a secondary home for GCW. But they put on a 20 years of the Bad Boy, commemorating the career of the Bad Boy Joe Janela, who is from the area. He's born and raised in the Asbury Park, Monmouth County area. Very cool show, cool matches, cool things. But he, and I say watch it because you have to watch the whole thing, because at the end they did a very nice tribute. They had people come out, people spoke. Brett Lauderdale spoke. He had ECW legend Just Incredible who has a personal connection to, came out and spoke and presented him a nice little award commemorating his 20th anniversary. But it was what Joey had to say that was very interesting.
Yes.
And not to get too bogged down in this, but if you're not aware, and there's plenty of evidence of it, Joey's quote unquote last run on television in AEW didn't go very well for many reasons, and was summarily, bounced off of television, and we haven't seen him since, other than GCW pay-per-views. But he goes to say that either he's going to be part of, or my thought is he's going to be part of the AEW in some sort of backstage or producer role, or where he wants to be back on television wrestling. And part of it hinges on, he has a match coming up next weekend in Homecoming for GCW at the Showboat in Atlantic City. That's a match with Marco Stunt, who is also back wrestling again, which is very cool. And we'll get to that in a minute, because he had a very fun match with Bear Bronson. Yes. Yeah, let that sink in a second. Joey has said, if he loses that match, because he has been on a losing streak.
Yeah, since Brody Jr.
Yes.
Mania weekend.
Yes. And if he loses, he's done wrestling. He said, that's it. If I can't beat Marco at Homecoming, I'm not going to wrestle anymore. So there's a couple different, angles and things at play here, but it's very interesting. And
he
like
said,
I said,
if he wins, then he pretty much vows to make his way back to TV wrestling.
Exactly. So it's going to be either way. It's going to be very interesting to see how it all turns out for him. So again, Homecoming is next weekend on Trailer Plus from the Showboat, 2 nights, Saturday and Sunday. It's GCW. It's outside of the Collective. That's their biggest show of the year, bar none. Yeah, and always a good time. And one of these days, I'll make it back down there to see it live. And since it's only an hour away, I suck.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I found Joey's comments really interesting because, like you said, everybody kind of, not everybody obviously, but a lot of people are kind of aware of how his time in AEW previously went and ended. And, he's been fairly open about that. And he even said in his speech the other night, he's, 2 years sober now?
Yes.
So, he's fully admitted and is fully aware that, he was kind of out of control at one point and did a lot of stupid shit. But he's 2 years sober, and he's, older and wiser. And what he said kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I was like, oh shit, is this happening? And so yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens. I, for one, think that even if he comes into AEW, I'm not quite sure what he where in the card would he fit in, or could he go on ROH, or in a backstage role, being, now that he's in his mid, almost late 30s,
right?
And thinking about slowing it down as far as in ring. What could his role be? I definitely think he's very, very valuable to any roster that he's a part of.
Yeah. The backstage part is a little easier to kind of navigate than the in-ring, because you're right. Yeah. If he goes the wrestler route, the performer route, again, much like Tommy End, where does he fit in? Like Buddy Matthews, especially in the AEW landscape right now.
Yes.
Where do you fit in? And not saying that he couldn't, or but as we all know, a lot of it has to do with where they put you in the card and who you put you with on how to successful or unsuccessful you could be. And that's kind of hard.
Idea. What
Okay.
if he's Megan Bain's valet?
Okay. But that.
Wouldn't that be funny? That would just be
funny. That it would be, to me, although it would work, it could work, at least to get him in the door anyway.
Yeah.
To me, it's kind of low-hanging fruit.
True. Yeah.
But I mean, listen, if they really want to lean into that, you make it a three-way between him, Penelope Ford, and Megan Bain. 2 exes versus one guy. Or next verse.
Okay.
The current.
He did say in his speech, he said if Tony Khan had balls, he'd let Megan Bain wrestle men on TV.
There you go.
She wrestles men on the indies every week.
Absolutely. She wrestled men Thursday night.
Yes. One other thing quick before we move on. I noticed, now this might be nothing, but, sometimes I notice little things and I kind of notice patterns. So remember last time when Wardlow returned, for those that remember Wardlow.
The American Gladiators guy.
Yes. Thing. Last time he returned, I had noticed then that he randomly started posting on Instagram again after being like social media dark for quite a long time while he was out on injury for a long time. I had noticed I don't know, a couple weeks before his return that he had randomly started posting on Instagram, on the regular feed and his stories. And then he returned. And then, of course, he promptly got hurt immediately again. He had popped up again promoting American Gladiators when that show came out. He, posted some things on Instagram just promoting the show. But since the show, came out and they were doing the promotional tour about it, that died down. Obviously, they haven't been promoting the show since the season's over. I noticed earlier this week he started posting on Instagram again. Posting series of pictures, some random pictures of, at the gym, at the beach, meals, things like that. Occasionally, in a series of 10 pictures, there would be one thing that has an AEW or wrestling related thing on the picture. And then in his stories, same thing, gym picture, food picture, artwork of Edge and Christian, or artwork of the Hardys, or he shared a fans video of him at, I think it said Revolution 2023. So it's just something I noticed that I'm like, I wonder if he's teasing that maybe he's ready to return again.
Maybe. I mean, if it is true and he is come back, please, whoever can hear my voice and whoever the powers that be, for God's sakes, will you get it fucking right this time?
Please.
I am so sick and tired of the stop starts with this guy.
I know.
When he's an absolute certified fucking blue chipper. This guy is
poor guy
Prince.
Has been out on injury for so long. So much has happened in AEW, and he's been out on injury for so much of it. I feel bad.
And then when he is healthy, and it's not even there've been bad gimmicks or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's just that whole stop start thing, man. Learn how to work your big men. And it's one of the knocks I've had against AEW, and I understand it's the kind of the culture of their locker room and makeup of their roster, I should say.
Well, honestly though, I don't see it that way anymore, because you look at a lot of the matches that we see weekly, and there's a lot of big men at AEW. We see a lot of matches with.
I mean, yes, we've had the emergency of Brody King into a prominent role. So I guess
everybody in the Don Callis family, the Demand, Like there's a lot, and they are having matches regularly, and they are having storylines.
Okay, well,
So
if
I
anything, that's
honestly think the
encouraging.
thing of AEW doesn't have big men is kind of outdated.
Hopefully,
To
then,
me anyway, my
well,
opinion.
hopefully, then if that's the case, I'll go with your opinion. Hopefully, they get it right this time, because they're kind of running out of chances with the fan base. They're only going to put up with so much before they, and that'd be true for anybody. But in this case, you know, they can look past him. Oh, he was injured only for so long. If if he comes back and they don't do anything,
I do definitely think that if he returns again, I think AEW has a lot of newer fans watching now, so they would almost have to do a reintroduction. It's been so long since he was on.
You might as well at this point. Absolutely.
Yeah. Might as well start fresh and just do a complete reintroduction, restart.
Yeah. You might be right on that. I agree with that. Because even the original sickos, there still hasn't been a whole lot memorable about what he's done at AEW outside of the stuff he did with MJF, and that was what 4 years ago at this point now.
Longer,
maybe. So, you might be right on board with that. A complete reboot and refresh and start something, clean sheet of paper, and see where it goes. One last thing that came from Joey Janela's 20 years anniversary show. The tag team we never knew we wanted, or I never knew I wanted, but I want it now. And that's the brand new tag team of Buster and the Wayne.
Yes.
Nick Wayne returned, made his triumphant GCW return to at the Joey Janela tribute show. It was supposed to be originally be a 6-person with Janela, Joey Janela, Megan Bain, with Leo Rush, that wacko, against Buster in the Brain, Jordan Oliver, Alec Price, the current GCW Tag Team Champions, and their partner, Nick Wayne. Now, and for those that are true GCW originals, know that before it was Jordan Oliver and Alec Price, it was Young, Dumb, and Broke, which was Nick Wayne and Jordan Oliver. And they were competing for and making an angle for the tag team championships before Nick got called up to AEW. So it was a nice little tie back and everything. And I'm sorry, Buster and the Wayne sounds just as good as Buster and the Brain. So I was like, yes, we need to see more of this. So we'll see what happens with that. It was a fun show. And what made it fun was, like I said, think about this for a second, folks. Bear Bronson, TNA star, deathmatch berserker, Bear Bronson against Marco Stunt. Little Marco Stunt that used to ride on Luchasaurus' shoulders. That little guy, he's back wrestling and has been making appearances in GCW. You look at this like, my God, they're going to kill Marco Stunt. But it was a super entertaining match, and Bear Bronson proved that you can beat up a man and still enjoy a beverage while doing it. We all know, those of us that have seen and gotten to know Bear and seen him perform live, my man likes his cold beer. And
it
ain't
ain't a bear match, especially on GCW, unless Bear's chugging beer.
Yes. And for the fact that Marco Stunt was trying as hard as he could to get offense on him, and Bear was just not having it because he was enjoying a nice tall boy Bud Light. But it was still a very fun match to watch. Styles make fights, and there's all kinds of different styles with this, and it was such a fun match to watch. And I listen. You can have your big matches with a big story and all the tension and the drama around it. But let's not forget one thing, folks. Wrestling is supposed to be fun. First and foremost, we're supposed to have a good time. To paraphrase WWE's old line, put smiles on our faces. And if it's not, why are you watching it? Find
Right.
something that does. And stuff like that. You can't. It's not believe. It's not supposed. It's the land of make believe. It's professional wrestling.
Yes.
It's absolutely professional wrestling. Of course, you would look at Bear Bronson and Marco Stunt or any other two very dissimilar sized guys and say, oh my God, this is not going to work. This is going to be, but yet it does. And you find yourself rooting for the small guy. And, if he happens to get one over on the big guy, it's all the better. Everybody loves a good story.
When he just runs up and then bounces off of him.
Yes. Things like that. It's supposed to be fun, people. We're supposed to enjoy this. You can't watch every match. Oh, well, it wasn't technical. Go fuck yourself. It's not supposed to be technical. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
This isn't anyway.
Yeah. It's choreographed, but it ain't ballet. So
exactly.
But all right. Exactly. We do have a few things going on tonight, though.
Yes.
We can talk about as well.
Yeah. Oh, before we go into Collision, though, I just want to talk about Grand Slam in Mexico. I mean, obviously, like we said, there are other shows that do match-by-match reviews, but holy shit, what a show, man. What a show.
Listen, folks, I have said this on this show. I have said it in our Zoom every time. We, as American wrestling fans, suck. We suck. Okay? We are still getting our asses kicked by fans of international crowds. And look at the crowd in Arena Mexico or CML Arena from this past week on Dynamite. And yes, it's proof. We suck. We have to get our acts together.
Especially in the larger arena shows. Like, you and I have both gone to indie shows where the crowds are more raucous than what you see a lot of the times in arena shows on TV.
Sure.
So I don't know. I honestly don't know if it's just the product of like a larger venue like that, honestly, the larger shows attract more casuals. They may not be as passionate. I don't know what it is, but it's true.
In AEW's case, AEW has been making great headway again, working smaller venues and smaller crowds, not trying to fill the 10 to 15 to 20,000 seat arenas and not even get close to it. They kind of settled in and found their niche on them smaller theaters, which overall visually sound, everything makes it better because then you have you don't have empty seats, you don't have blank faces, you have a crowd that's engaged and wants to be there, and it reflects back on the television.
And I love watching that on TV. I love watching it with venues that look cool and interesting, because a lot of like arenas, whether it's a hockey arena or a basketball arena or whatever, they all look the same. Like oftentimes when you're watching it on TV, if it's just in a regular sports arena, you don't know specifically what building it is. You can't tell.
Right.
But yeah, the smaller like concert theaters, like things like that, I think it looks so good on TV.
I agree, and it definitely piques interest. But again, and I get it. People will say, well, they only get wrestling once a year in Italy, or so of course everybody wants to go and be allowed. It's their only time. But that's not an excuse, folks. Just because we have so much available, that's no reason for us to get fat, lazy, and complacent.
I mean, look at Arena Mexico. That's where Dynamite was this week in Arena Mexico. Right. CMLL does like 3 to 4 shows every week, from what I understand, and they're sold out every time.
Yeah,
every time.
And correct me if I'm
just
wrong,
like they were on Dynamite.
Yeah, but in Arena Mexico, that was the biggest crowd, people wise, to see AEW number wise in quite a long time. I
did see a post that it was roughly about, if the thing was correct anyway, that it was roughly about 2,000 more than what they had for Grand Slam Mexico last time they were there.
Okay, but that's over 10,000 people. I think we actually looked it up.
Was 16,000, if that's accurate. I mean, I have no way of verifying that.
Yeah, but I mean, but AEW has been doing well with 3,000 and 5,000 seat arenas. This is a big, good for them, and rightfully so. But that just shows, man. Again, folks, we got to step up our game if we want to keep wearing that belt of being the world's greatest wrestling fans. We got to work up. We got to get our game together because we get our asses kicked constantly by overseas and international crowds. And it's just that simple. We have to be better. We have to be as good as what we're seeing live and what we're seeing on television. We have to match their energy, and we're not.
Yes,
we're just not.
Well, tonight,
so be better.
Collision is in Colorado Springs, so we'll see. Obviously, we don't expect it to be as probably as crazy as Mexico City, but we have 4 matches announced for tonight, and then. That's the So the Continental Cup. Okay, so from what I understand, I watched the guys on What Culture Wrestling talking, and I think that they mentioned it on the Masked Man show as well with Kazim and David Shoemaker. Apparently, the structure of this Continental Cup is very similar to the FA Cup. That is a very, very popular thing in English soccer. I saw, I think it was Will Ospreay that said, and they mentioned it on the What Culture Wrestling show as well. The FA Cup is a really, really big deal in England, and the fact that, this Continental Cup, the finals will be at All In at Wembley. The FA Cup finals are at Wembley as well. And they said that it's basically every English kid's childhood dream to lift up the FA Cup in Wembley Stadium. So the significance of that, as people in the US, we may not understand that, and it may have absolutely no meaning to us, but the significance of that, especially to English people, and we know that Tony Khan and his dad also own Fulham FC, so they're very integrated in what happens in English soccer and the traditions and all of that stuff. I thought that was a cool little breadcrumb there.
Right. Well, this is what I saw, and we discussed this about before the show, but we actually have a rules and how it works. Now, if it goes this way, who knows? Who's to say? But, it's interesting that they put something out like this.
Yes.
And for those that don't know about us here at the Nation's Corner, we love tournaments. We absolutely love tournaments, no matter who's putting them on for whatever reason. For your sister's ass championship, I don't care. Give me a tournament. Give me 10 guys, 10 girls, put them all in individual matches. Whoever comes out, winner take all. And we love how they work, because it's a very and from a booking standpoint, it's a very easy way to kind of jumpstart a story or move a story along. Seeing matchups we may not see every week or anything like that. And they're just a lot of fun and create a lot of interest around them. And then
so the Continental Cup will be taking place every summer, and then the Continental Classic will still be taking place every winter. So we have 2 tournaments every year for the Continental Championship. So I think it feels like, to me anyway, I don't know how other people feel. I still think that the TNT title is seen as the second ranked title, and then the Continental title is probably the third in most importance. I know different people feel different ways.
Yeah, I don't agree with it. I think the problem is, part of my problem is I'm a traditionalist. One main champion per designation. 1 male champion, 1 female champion, 1 each secondary title, a tag title. But there are a lot, and AEW kind of gotten themselves in a little bit of a trap, in my opinion, that they have so many titles right now. Everybody. It seems like anybody that wins gets a belt.
Right.
You know,
I think that the international titles should be kind of merged into the continental.
well, didn't they do that
Or
once already? Didn't they merge the titles?
no, they weren't
Some
technically merged. It was Okada was holding two, but then he lost one of them, so they separated again.
okay. See, again, but we shouldn't be that confused over who has what
Right.
belt for what. So,
Right.
but it is what it is, and I like the idea of that they're designating one as a a cup, the other as a classic tournament per
Yeah.
se for the title. So I like that part. But hey, less than, better than, or different than, and I always vote for
Exactly.
different than.
Yeah. So we have the first three first round matches
Mm-hmm.
on Collision tonight. Um, I was very surprised to see Eddie Kingston's name on this. That was really cool. And I was actually watching the YouTube live when Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone were announcing the picks,
Mm.
and the entire live chat just lit up with people excited to see Eddie's name up there.
Well, Eddie's back.
For
He's
people who
healthy.
don't watch Ring of Honor, he is on Ring of Honor Weekly, teaming up with Ortiz and
Mm-hmm.
Mance Warner.
Mm.
But yeah, it's really interesting to see him put into this.
Well, we all know the match you're watching, so
Yeah.
that's not going to be. He's not going to win, but we'll know you'll be watching. If you're not aware, and yes, I'm not speaking out of school, we all know it. Deb has a bit of a fascination with one Ace Austin. So,
Is that the word?
well, I don't want to get you in trouble
That's the
again.
word for it.
I don't want to get you in trouble again, so I will use fascination. Anything else, it could be legal, but
Right.
anyway.
Yes. It's
But
true.
we also had, speaking of tournaments, we also have another tournament centered around the event coming up for WWE.
Yes.
And it's a World Heavy Number One Contenders Championship. And as we found out Monday night on Raw, Rey Mysterio is the general manager of AAA or AAA. And even apparently Roman Reigns didn't know it till then, but he knows it now. And hence, later on this week, we had the announcement that they are going to do Raw from Mexico City and that they're having a tournament for number one contenders to take on Roman when Raw comes to Mexico City. And I like this just because if you're not watching, we only get AAA right now basically in 1 hour increments every Saturday night on the YouTube.
Yes.
And I'm a fan of it, and it's really starting to gain traction. But I like the fact that they have almost all, it's all luchadors basically,
Yes.
but it's almost all outside of Penta and Ray Phoenix, all basically AAA guys. You have Elio D. Dr. Wagner Jr., Psycho Clown, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. My glasses suck. La Parca, El Fiscal, these are all AAA guys that,
Yes.
really WWE fans should know who they are and should be watching it. And I think it's a great way to bring AAA along into the more of the fold of the WWE universe and expose the fans that may not have seen or known, which I don't know where the fuck you've been, but there's other wrestling outside of WWE, and it's really good, and you really should be watching it. But
Yes.
so
Yeah.
again, we love tournaments, so that should be very interesting as well.
Love tournaments. So for me personally, just when I saw that graphic, I love lucha wrestling. It's one of my favorite things about AEW is AEW has a lot of luchadors, has a lot of wrestlers that wrestle that style. And so, yeah, I agree with you that more WWE fans should become familiar with lucha wrestling, especially now that WWE owns AAA. More WWE fans should kind of branch out and check it out. I have seen, honestly, and just, scrolling feeds on the various apps, I have seen a lot of people talk about that they like AAA is the primary WWE show that they watch. We are in a time now where there is a lot of fans kind of getting a little disenfranchised with the Raw and SmackDown product. A lot of people are getting more interested in NXT because they, within the AEW or within the WWE bubble anyway, NXT is kind of a different style of show, and AAA is also kind of a different style of show. So I've seen a lot of people say like, hey, honestly, I watch AAA more than I watch main roster now. And a lot of people are enjoying it more.
Well, we have absolutely adopted what Justin LaBar famously has coined, especially on the Sunday busted open shows with Jonathan the Hood. Fan how you want to fan.
Yep.
And there's so much going on that if you only limit yourself to one organization or one particular brand or something, man, you are really just cheating yourself.
If one show isn't doing it for you, check out another show. There might be something that piques your interest more. Like, you never know. I always say, just a stupid little thing I always say is life is too short to watch a TV show that's boring to you. So there's, if you are a wrestling fan and you still want to be a wrestling fan, and if you're watching one show that for whatever reason, no matter what show it is, if it's not doing it for you, check out something else. See if there's something else out there that's more what you like.
Yeah. Just like you tune in here every week to hear all about wrestling. We will tell you everything that we can fit into an hour and change about all the wrestling.
Everything that we try to pay attention to.
Right. And I
obviously there's still so much more out there that we don't have the bandwidth to pay attention to.
Listen. I don't know anyone who watches more wrestling than I do myself. Yep. I don't know anyone. And I can't even keep up with all of it. That it's literally that much. I have my regular viewing times on the 5 days a week, and the weekends is all either pay-per-views, PLEs, or catching up on other promotions that I don't see during my normal week. Yeah. I just finished, before we went on the air tonight, I just finished watching the latest episode of JCW Juggalo Championship Wrestling Lunacy.
Okay.
They're building up to their big Bloody Mania show, which is kind of their WrestleMania. That's getting ready to go down later on, I believe this month at the Gathering of the Juggalos, their annual event. Everybody knows about that, but they're getting ready to do that. And I found out something that I found was interesting. All the JCW shows, Lunacy and anything else they do is all on their YouTube channel, but the Bloody Mania is going to be on Triller, which we know Triller is basically in trouble, and I almost, it's one of them things when GCW decides to leave Triller and get their own deal or whatever.
I mean,
Triller
heard
is
what
finished.
Brett Lauderdale said
That,
and you may have been joking,
but hey, but that's really all they have right now. Almost everybody else is left.
It's the only reason I still pay for Triller Plus is for GCW.
Right.
It's literally the only thing I still watch on there. While we're running down, the indie stuff that we're paying attention to right now, tonight, going on right now, in fact, is Limitless Wrestling in Maine, where Bear Bronson is going against Aaron Rourke. Mm-hmm. And friend of the show as well, Gabby Forza, is going against Donovan Dijak.
Which is a rerun of a match that they had in JCW, which is Jersey Championship Wrestling at the Mecca.
So I know that Limitless Wrestling is part of my AEW now. I'll be curious to see if and when they upload the full show, or if they're just going to upload matches. We'll just have to wait and see, how they're doing things with that. I'm not sure. But both of those matches I would be very interested in watching once they're posted somewhere.
Yeah. And speaking of that real quick though, again, if you haven't been paying attention to social media this week, I don't know what you're doing. congratulations to our homie, the Nomi. Gabby Forza is now officially a TNA knockout, as announced this week by Denise Salcedo. And she was on Busted Open After Dark Thursday night again with Denise, giving me more details about it. She is a very close personal friend of ours, a friend of our show. We love her and Bear as a couple and got to know them very well and could not be happier. Now, just get off your asses, TNA, and sign Vicious Vicky and make the rest of us all happy and, be done with it and move on. You did half. You went halfway. Now do the rest of the way. And get Vicky on the roster and be done, or we're going to ride.
Their knockouts division definitely needed some new life. We've seen recently there has been an unfortunate and honestly rather depressing exodus of a lot of talent from TNA, especially in the knockouts division. Just the other day, so after the Gabby announcement, Seth and I were talking, and I was like, oh, with this, all the people that have left recently, who's left in the knockouts division. So I went on their roster page on the website. The only tag teams they have are Demon Bunny and the Elegance brand, and then the singles knockouts are Elena Black. Oh shoot, now I'm blanking.
Zaya Brookside's the knockouts champion.
Yes, Zaya Brookside's Laying Lee. There's not many. So they need to. They need.
There's not. They really need something to. They need to bolster the numbers. Number one.
Yes.
And what better opportunity than getting some new blood, new talent, new faces in there.
Yes.
Very
happy for Gabby. Literally seeing that announcement, literally made my day. For those of you that are newer viewers of us, you can go back on our YouTube. I believe it was 2023. We interviewed Gabby Forza here on this show. We were her first interview ever for wrestling. And at the time, she was still playing pro women's football for, I believe they were called the New York Timberwolves. Some of the interview was about her playing football. Some of the interview was about her getting into wrestling at the time. So we were her first interview that Tony, we were her first interview that was wrestling related. Go back in our YouTube feed and find that, check that out. Mongrovian said he watched it again the other day, and just seeing how things have happened in the last few years, and then he said going back and watching that, and the other wrestlers that were mentioned in the conversation, he said it was just really, really cool to see that from the past. Super, super happy for Gabby. She's gonna kill it, man. She really is.
And all right, we're gonna start winding down, but there's one other thing I wanted to bring up, and again, if you're not paying attention to, especially Nation's Corner social media, since Deb is my partner and does such a fantastic job, something came about earlier this week that is very personal to me, and it's going to wind up being very cool. It's going to be happening in December. It's going to be a local indie show at 3LW, Three Legacies Wrestling, which is Roberto Rodriguez's promotion out in Central Pennsylvania. There was I was part of an all-women's wrestling organization. Ill-fated, unfortunately, due to poor management, but from all the bad from that organization, one very cool thing sprung out of it right here in my backyard, out of the original Monster Factory here in Paulsboro, which is unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. But a very good friend of mine from wrestling over the years, and a woman I watched perform and wrestle and got to know very well, named Missy Sampson, who is an ECW Arena Hall of Famer. Her banner hangs in the ECW Arena. started her own all women's promotion called Bell to Bell. And I was on board with her and her roster and all of her people from day one. And unfortunately, when things changed and they lost the Monster Factory as a venue and some other outside personal issues, they have shut down basically for over a year and a half now. Until earlier this month or last month, there was an announcement made that Bell to Bell is coming back at the December 3LW show. They're going to run about 4 or 5 matches from what I understand. And yes, Nation's Corner is a sponsor of a wrestler or Bell to Bell participating. You will see our names connected with one huge powerhouse name of Sammy Chaos, who is another young lady that I got to meet and know from her wrestling at many Indian promotions, but especially Bell to Bell. And to give you the significance of Bell to Bell, there was at that Bell to Bell promotion is where I met one particular young lady who had just relocated to the area here in New Jersey from another country and was definitely on a rise. And it was one of the first places she wrestled in America was in a Bell to Bell ring. How did it work out for her? She is currently one half of the AEW Women's Tag Team Champions, Divine Dominion, and her name is Lena Cross. Her first wrestling match in America when she moved here roughly 2.5 years ago was in the Bell to Bell ring. And I knew the first time I saw that girl that this is going to be something big. And once again, I hate to say I'm right, but I was right. So very excited for that.
Honestly, that's such a cool story because I know there's a lot of people that we may see on TV wrestling that, like, you know, I wasn't familiar with Lena Cross before she came to AEW. So to a lot of people, they might be like, well, who the heck is that? You know, why is she, you know, in that position? But to hear a story from someone who saw her very first match in the United States ever and knew that there was something about her then that would lead to being a major star, like that's so cool. Like, that really is.
I have literally hundreds of those stories over the years, Deb. Hundreds.
Wow.
Hundreds.
So cool.
But
speaking of 3LW, I came across earlier, so they're having a show tonight out at Millersville University in Millersville, PA. And Darius Carter is facing Darian Hardway, friend of the show. Yes. We've had Darian Hardway on here a couple times before when he was a part of Atlantic All-Star Wrestling in South Jersey there. So yeah, I came across that post earlier today, so I wanted to shout them out. I have seen both of them wrestle in person, and they are both very, very good. I like them.
Yes, yes. We always tell you, folks, indie wrestling is the best wrestling, the most bang for your buck. And it's not overproduced TV. It's not what you're seeing on television, but it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be, again, it's supposed to be fun. And you get access and ability to be close to wrestlers unlike anything. You couldn't pay enough money at an AEW show or a WWE show to have the kind of access you have to these wrestlers. And like I just said, I have hundreds of stories of people I've seen in the indies and now are major television stars and champions and continue to be over the years. That's where you get those stories. That's what keeps me going back to every indie show I go to. It's not the fact that I get it. It's indie. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be polished. It's none of that. I don't want that. I'm looking for that, you know, like Lena Cross. I'm like, wow, this girl has something and she's going to go far. And it got all the way up to an AEW championship right now. And continuing because she's stupid young. She's only in her 20s, for God's sakes. All right, Deb, I guess we can wrap it up. We've done our hour as we were contracted to do. I just have one more personal note.
We're not wrestlers. We don't wrestle. We don't know how to hit our time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And we don't have a producer. contrary to popular opinion, we don't have a producer yelling in our ear saying wrap it up. But there's one more personal note. A bit of bad news, but I think it's going to turn out to be very well. For those who aren't familiar, we have not seen one dear friend of mine and AK9K's favorite partner, Lindsay Snow, active lately, and there's a very good reason. She has been recently found out that she does have a torn MCL. Oh. And she's been trying to nurse it and heal it up on her own and get better, and it's not working. And unfortunately, she's going to be going for surgery at the end of this month. And who knows how long she's going to be out for. Knowing that crazy one, she'll probably try to be back in the ring in 6 weeks, and it ain't going to work that way. So if you have a chance, or if you follow her on social media, she's going to be doing some she's going to be selling off some ring used gear, which is always very popular. And some other things that she has coming up. More than likely hers and somebody else's or multiple people's. She's going to be selling off some gear. Of course, if you're in the area of Tampa, where her particular tattoo shop is, or she's going to be trying to be traveling. I don't know how much she's going to be able to after the surgery. In the Augusta, Georgia area, book her for a tattoo session. She's super talented. She does amazing work. I, for years, have had a standing appointment to sit in her chair to have her tattoo me.
Dude, I would be honored if the opportunity ever happened.
Yeah.
I would be honored.
But, again, these people, especially those in the indies, the money isn't guaranteed. And merchandise, especially, and other things they do outside of the wrestling, outside of the gigs, is what helps pay their bills and everything. And when they can't work, they can't get paid. And everybody knows that kind of sucks. So if you can, support any way you can, maybe send her get well wishes on social media or something. And that goes for any wrestler. I'm just bringing up Lindsay because it's personal with me. But if you have your favorites or something like that, or everybody seems to be right now jumping on, and rightfully so, and thankfully everybody's jumping on the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge for TNA Brooks and supporting the ALS research and her fight against ALS, and bringing a lot of awareness and hopefully a lot of donation. You can go to AEW, shopaew.com, and get your Rebel Heart t-shirt. All the proceeds go directly to ALS research. There is no cure for it. And it's a sad disease, and it's just so debilitating. And to see someone like Tanea, who was so full of life and such a bigger character on television, especially with her work with Britt Baker and AEW, and to see what it's done to her, and she still has that smile on her face, and is still fighting, and it's so inspirational to see. And everybody goes through tough times, and it's certain things that we can do or try to help that may make a difference. It might be your dollar or your t-shirt that you buy that puts it over to make a breakthrough. And that, and that goes for anybody. So always keep in mind, yes, they're here. Everybody's here to entertain us. Everybody's here to put smiles on their faces, but these are real people as well. And sometimes they need it too. So that's our chance to give back to them for all the entertainment they give us. So on that note, Deb, how can the folks get with you?
At That's So Debonair on all the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky. Very, very last thing from me. I wanted to give a heartfelt shout out to one of our best friends. He's in the chat, Tony. Tony lost his dad this week. And I know it's been very, very tough. So I wanted to give, a shout out and well wishes to Tony and all of his family. So yeah.
Love you, brother.
Yeah. All right, John.
Yes, I will. You can get with me at John South Jersey on the Instagram and the Twitter. And while you're perusing Instagram is where you can keep up with the exploits of the most dangerous weapon in all of professional wrestling, who's unfortunately going to be at the end of the month in search of a new partner. So he's available. The books are open. Since Lindsay's going to be on the mend. Of course, I'm talking about the Ask Kicker 9000, the 8K, 9K. And you can keep up with all of his exploits at Ask Kicker 9K on Instagram. Folks, that is our show for this week. For my partner, Debhausen, I'm John South Jersey, and we will see you all next week.